Wyrd Sisters, Act 1, Scene 1, The Blasted Heath. The wind howls, lightning and a crash. Dry ice would be added, but it gives good effect for the opening of a play. Around a smouldering cold. Huddle.
When shall we three meet again?
Pause. Granny, referring to a pocket diary.
I can do next Tuesday.
Oh,
Nat.
I'm babysitting Tuesday for our Jason's youngest. I can do Friday. Oh, hurry up with the tea, love. I'm that parched.
Margaret sighs. Granny, patting her hand.
You said it quite well. Just a bit more work on the screeching. Ain't that right, Nonny Og?
Very useful screeching, I thought, Granny Weatherwax. And I can see that old Goody Wemper, may she rest in peace, gave you a lot of help with the squint, Magrat.
It's a good squint.
Magrat, unflattered.
Thank you.
Pause.
I'm glad we decided to form this coven.
Oven?
Coven! Like in the old days. A meeting.
Holding up a hand.
Something comes.
Can you
Magrat,
tell by the
earnestly.
pricking of your thumbs?
The pricking of my ears.
Raises her eyebrows at Nanny Og, to herself.
Old Goody Wemper was an excellent witch in her own way, but far too fanciful.
Hoofbeats. But no one will come up here at this time of night.
Magrat, slightly alarmed.
What's to be afraid of?
Granny, rather smugly.
Us?
The hoofbeats draw nearer and halt. A soldier enters carrying a large bundle. Note, he already has the crossbow quarrel sticking out of his back in his costume, but keeps back away from the audience. He sees the witches and then pauses.
It's all right.
She crosses to him, he hands her the bundle and then topples forward. We can now see the feathers of the crossbow bolt in his back. Two of the other soldiers enter. One is carrying a crossbow. He reaches out his hand to Granny.
You will give it to me.
Granny looks at the bundle and then up to the bowman.
No.
You are witches?
Granny nods.
Does the skin of witches turn aside steel?
Not that I'm aware. You could give it a try.
Sir, with respect, sir, it's not a good idea.
Be silent.
But it's terrible bad luck to...
Must I ask you again?
Sir.
Granny gestures. There's a flash. To one side of the stage. Second soldier is much alarmed.
Mist. Your peasant magic is for fools, mother of the night. I can strike you down where you stand.
Then strike, man. If your heart tells you, strike as hard as you dare.
The man draws his sword and raises it over his head. A look of puzzlement comes over his face. He drops it to his knees and falls dead on the floor. Behind him, we now see the second soldier holding a blood-soaked dagger.
I couldn't let... You shouldn't have... It's not right to...
And you thought?
They'll kill me now.
You did what you thought was right.
I didn't become a soldier for this. Not to go around killing people.
Exactly right. If I was you, I'd become a sailor. Yes, a nautical career. I should start as soon as possible. Now, in fact, run off, man. Run off to sea where there are no tracks. You will have a long and successful life. I promise. At least longer than it's likely to be if you hang around here.
He runs off.
Now, will someone please tell me what's going on?
Perhaps they were bandits.
Nanny shaking her head.
Strange. They both wear the same badge. Anyone know what it means?
It's the badge of King Barents.
Who's he?
He runs this country.
Granny dismissively.
Oh, that King Barents.
Nanny, who has opened the bundle gently.
It's a baby. A baby boy.
Oh, she rocks it
Hello.
gently.
Hello. Hello.
Anything else in there?
Well, there's this.
She holds up a crown. It is a plain golden crown, not jewelled, ermined, or velveted.
Oh, bloody hell. First, we've got to get him out of here, a long way away, where no one knows who he is.
She takes the crown from Magrat.
And then there's this.
Oh, that's easy. I mean, you just hide it under a stone or something. Much easier than babies.
It isn't. The reason being the country's full of babies and they all look the same. But I don't reckon there's many crowns. They have this way of being found anyway. They kind of call out to people's minds. If you bunked it under a stone here, it'd get itself discovered by accident. You mark my words.
It's true that. How many times have you thrown a magic ring into the deepest depths of the ocean, and then when you get home and have a nice bit of turbot for your tea, there it is?
They consider this.
Never. And nor have you. Anyway, he might want it back. If it's rightfully his, that is. King set a lot of store by crowns, you know. Really, Githa, sometimes you say the most, oof, what's that smell?
They both look at the baby.
Ah, I'll just see if there's any clean rags, eh?
She exits.
Wood on a poo. A wood on a poo.
What'd happen if we buried it somewhere?
The baby?
The crown.
Oh, Badger would dig it up. Or someone would go prospecting for something. Or a tree would tangle its roots around it and then it got blown over in a storm and then someone would pick it up and put it on. It isn't the putting them on that's the problem. It's the taking off.
It's not even as if it looked much like the crown.
Granny with sarcasm.
You've seen a lot, I expect. You'd be an expert on them naturally.
Seen a fair few. They've got more jewels on them and cloth bits in the middle.
Margaret Garlic.
I have! When I was being trained by Goody Whimper.
Granny and Magrat put their fingers to their noses and bob.
May she rest in peace.
Magrat putting her finger to her nose and bobbing.
May she rest in peace. She used to take me over to Razorback or Lanker whenever the strolling players were in town. Oh, she was very keen on the theater. They've got more crowns than you can shake a stick at. Although Goody used to say they're made of tin and paper and stuff. And just glass for the jewels. But they look more realer than this one. Do you think that's strange?
Things that try to look like things often do look more like things than things. Well-known fact. But I don't hold with encouraging it. What did they stroll around playing then in these crowns?
Don't you know about the theater?
Oh, yes, it's one of them kind of things, is it?
Goody Whimper said it held a mirror up to life. She said it always cheered her up.
I expect it would. Played properly at any rate. Good people, are they, these theatre players?
I think so.
And they stroll around the country, you say?
All over the place. There's a troupe in Lanker now, I hear. I haven't been because, well, you know, 'tis not right, a woman going into such places by herself.
Right. And why not? Go tell Githa to wrap the baby up well. It's a long time since I heard a theatre played properly.
Lights out. Scene 2, Lancre Castle. The Duke Felmet and Lady Felmet are on stage. The Duke looks distracted and is rubbing his hands with a grubby hanky. Continue.
Certainly, my dear.
The Duke's statement made no sense.
What? I'll have some cut down and brought in directly, my cherished.
Duchess icily.
What down?
Oh, the trees.
What have the trees got to do with it? What I said was, how could you have been so stupid as to let them get away? I told you that servant was far too loyal. You can't trust someone like that.
No, my love.
You didn't by any chance consider sending someone after them, I suppose?
The Duke rather smugly.
Benson, my dear, and another guard.
Duchess momentarily nonplussed by this show of competence.
Oh.
Then,
He wouldn't have needed to go at all if only you'd listened to me. But you never do.
Do what, my passion?
he yawns distractedly. He notices his hands and rubs at them, as if trying to remove a mark.
For God's sake, leave your hands alone. You've washed them 5 times in the last half hour.
The Chamberlain enters.
I can't seem to get rid of the blood. And where's the crown? I must find it.
Your Majesties,
And
the baby was taken by witches.
witches?
Oh yes, Majesty. We have them all right. What?
And people don't do anything about them? They tolerate them?
Oh, indeed. It's considered good luck to have a witch living in your village. My word, yes.
Why?
They smooth out life's little humps and bumps.
Where I come from, they don't allow witches. And I don't propose to allow them here. You will furnish their addresses.
Majesty?
I trust your tax gatherers know where to find them.
A pause.
I trust they do pay taxes.
Well, not exactly pay taxes, my lord. It's more like they don't pay. The old king didn't think. Well, they just don't.
I see. You may go.
Chamberlain exits.
Well,
Indeed.
so that was how your family used to run a kingdom, was it? You had a positive duty to kill your cousin. It was clearly in the interest of the species.
Duke, rubbing his hands distractedly.
Quite so. Of course, there would appear to be many witches, and it might be difficult to find the 3 that were on the moor.
That doesn't matter.
Of course not.
Puts matters in hand.
Yes, my petal.
Calling off.
Sergeant!
Sergeant entering.
Yes, my lord.
Go out into the town and bring me a witch. In chains, if necessary.
Sergeant, who despite being thick, solid and literal, can see the danger in such a course of action.
What?
Sergeant, slightly dubious but fearful of the Duke.
Yes, my lord.
He salutes and turns to exit. Lights out. Scene 3. The theatre. Applause. It is now after the show and the 3 witches are just rising from their seats and preparing to leave.
Well, so that's theatre, is it? Very interesting. I wonder they get all them kings and lords to come here and do all this. I'd have thought they'd have been too busy, ruling and similar.
Magrat wearily.
No, I still don't think you quite understand. They're just actors, you see.
One of the actors strolls past.
You're dead.
Vittler enters. He is very much an actor-manager of the old school.
May I assist you, good ladies?
I know you. You done the murder. Leastways it looked like it.
So glad. It is always a pleasure to meet a true connoisseur. Alwyn Vitola, at your service, manager of this band of vagabonds.
He gives a low bow. Granny rather flattered.
Yes, well.
I thought you was very good too.
I hope we didn't upset things.
My dear lady, could I begin to tell you how gratifying it is for a mere mummer to learn that his audience has seen behind the mere shell of grease paint to the spirit beneath.
I expect you could. I expect you could say anything, Mr. Vittler.
And now, to what do I owe this visit from three such charming ladies?
We'd like to talk to you, Mr. Vittler, and Mrs. Vittler.
Mrs. Vittler enters.
Here she is. What can we do for you?
Mrs. Vittler, may I make so bold as to ask if your union has been blessed with fruit?
The couple look blank.
She means, have you?
No, I see, no. Slightly ruefully, this is clearly a personal tragedy. We had a little girl once. A pause. Magrat sidles out at some stage in the following.
Only you see, there is this child, and he needs a home.
Oh, sorry. It's no life for a child, always moving, always a new town, and no room for schooling. They say that's very important these days.
Why does he need a home?
Well, he hasn't got one. At least not one where he'd be welcome.
And you who ask this are by way of being his...
Godmothers.
Vittler and his wife look at one another. She reaches out and takes his hand. He smiles.
Money is a last tight.
But it will stretch.
Yes, I think it will. We should be happy to take care of him.
Granny taking out a purse full of coins.
This should take care of nappies and such like clothes and things, whatever.
Vittler taken aback.
100 times over, I should think. Why didn't you mention this before?
If I'd had to buy you, you wouldn't be worth the price.
But you don't know anything about us. Granny matter-of-factly.
We don't, do we? Naturally, we'd like to hear how he gets along. You could send us letters and such like, but it would be a good idea not to talk about all this after you've left, you see, for the sake of the child.
There's something else here, isn't there? Something big behind all this. Granny nods. But it would do us no good at all to know it. Another nod.
What's his name?
Tom John.
Done.
Tom John. We'll come back with the boy.
Vittler bows. He and Mrs. Vittler exit. Magrat re-enters.
Found a box. It had all the crowns and things in, so I put it in, like you said, right underneath everything.
Good.
Our crown looked really tacky compared to the others.
Did anyone see you?
Oh no, everyone was busy, but
Yes.
Magrat, very naive.
just after I'd hidden it, a man came up and pinched my bottom.
And
And then he said,
What did he say?
"Hello, my lovely, what are you doing tonight?"
Granny, after a pause.
old Goody Wempa, she didn't get out and about much, did she?
Oh, it was her leg, you know.
But she taught you midwifery and everything.
Oh, yes, that, I did lots.
But she never talked to you about what you might call the previous?
Sorry?
You know, men and such.
What about them?
Granny, giving up the challenge.
I think it might be a good idea if you have a quiet word with Nanny Ogg one of these days.
With a look at
Very
Nanny.
soon.
Lights out. Scene 4, the castle. The sergeant is on stage at attention. The Duke is also on stage, At the rear of the stage, the fool sits.
She did what?
She gave me a cup of tea, sir.
And what about your men?
She gave him one too, sir.
Duke, putting his arm round the sergeant's shoulder.
Sergeant.
Sir.
Duke, charming but threatening.
I mean, it is possible I may have confused you. I meant to say, bring me a witch in chains if necessary. But perhaps what I really said was, go and have a cup of tea. Was this, in fact, the case?
Sergeant, unused to sarcasm.
No, sir.
I wondered why, then, you did not, in fact, do this thing that I asked.
Sir?
I expect she said some magic words, did she? I've heard about witches. I imagine she offered you visions of unearthly delight. Did she show you the...
He shudders as some sordid thought passes through his mind.
Dark fascinations and forbidden raptures, the likes of which mortal men should not even think of, and demonic secrets that took you to the depths of man's desires.
Sits down and fans himself with a handkerchief.
Are you all right, sir?
What? Oh, perfectly, perfectly.
Only you've gone all red.
Duke, snapping.
Don't change the subject, man. Admit it. She offered you hedonistics and licentious pleasures known only to those who dabble in the carnal arts. Didn't she?
No, sir. She offered me a bun.
Pause.
A bun?
Yes, sir. It had currants in it.
Duke, with great restraint.
And what did your men do about this?
We had a bun too, sir. All except young Roger, who is in the low fruit, sir, on account of his trouble.
A pause as the Duke looks at him, knowing he will tell him what Roger had.
He had a biscuit, sir.
The Duke struggles to keep control. This brings on his paranoia about his hands. He rubs them distractedly.
You may go, Sergeant.
Sir.
He marches out.
Fool?
Fool capering to him and striking a pose nervously.
Marry, sir?
I am already extremely married. Advise me, my fool.
I' faith, nuncle.
Nor am I thy nuncle. I feel sure I would have remembered. If
He
you
leans forward and...
Sorry.
Carry it. You carry on.
If you preface your next remark with nuncle, if faith, or marry, it will go hard with you.
Fool after a moment's thought.
How do you feel about prithee?
Prithee I can live with.
Meaningful pause.
So can you, but no capering.
With an encouraging grin.
How long have you been a fool, boy?
Prithee, sirrah.
The sirrah, on the whole, I think not.
Prithee, sir, all my life, sir. 17 years under the bladder, man and boy, and my father before me, and my nuncle at the same time as him, and my grandad before them, and his...
Your whole family have been fools.
Family tradition, sir.
You come from these parts, don't you?
Yes, sir.
So you would know about the native beliefs and so on.
I suppose so, sir. Prithee?
Good. Tell me about witches.
The Duchess enters.
But not now. Well, where are the witches?
The Chamberlain would appear to be right, beloved. The witches seem to have the local people in thrall. The sergeant of the guard came back empty-handed.
To himself, the word has struck a chord.
Handed.
You must have him executed to make an example to the others.
A course of action, my dear, which ultimately results in us ordering the last soldier to cut his own throat as an example to himself. By the way, there do seem to be a few fewer servants round than usual.
Housekeeping is under my control. I cannot abide slackness. What of these witches? Will you stand idly by and let troubles seed for the future? Will you let these witches defy you? What of the crown?
The Duke with a shrug.
No doubt it ended in the river.
And the child? He was given to the witches. Oh, do they do human sacrifice?
Duke with a disappointed air.
Apparently not. These witches, apparently they seem to cast a spell on people.
Well, obviously.
Not like a magic spell. They seem to be respected. They do medicine and so on. It may be difficult to move against them.
I could come to believe that they have cast a glamour over you as well. In fact, you like it, don't you? The thought of danger. I remember when we were married, all that business with the knotted rope.
The Duke snapping.
Not at all.
Then what will you do?
Wait.
Wait?
Wait and consider. Patience is a virtue.
He starts to rub absent-mindedly at his hands. The Duchess leans over and slaps his wrist as the lights black out. Scene 5, the witch's cottage. Magrat and Nanny are on stage. Granny enters.
Good evening.
Well met by moonlight, merry meet, a star shines on us.
Roger!
Granny with a wince.
Anyway, how goes it, sisters?
If we're going to start, we better light the candles.
Nanny and Granny exchange looks.
Candle.
And a decent white one, nothing fancy.
They sit. Magrat lights the candle.
What about this new Duke then?
He had some houses burned down in Badass because of the taxes.
How horrible.
Old King Verence used to do that. Terrible temper he had.
He used to let people out first, though.
Oh, yes. He could be very gracious like that. He'd pay for them to be rehomed as often as not, if he remembered. And then there was that big, great, hairy thing of his.
Ah, yes, his droit de seigneur.
Needed a lot of exercise.
Ah, but next day he'd send his housekeeper with a bag of silver and ample stuff for the wedding. Many a couple got a proper start in life thanks to that.
What are you two talking about? Did he keep pets?
The other two exchange glances and shrug.
Did you know that no one is allowed to say that Felmet killed the king? He had some people executed in Lancre the other day. Spreading malicious lies, he said. He said Verence died of natural causes.
Well, being assassinated is natural causes for a king. I think we have to keep an eye on this one. I think he might be a bit clever. That's not a good thing in a king. And he don't know how to show respect.
A man came to see me last week to ask if I wanted to pay any taxes. I told him no.
He came to see me too, but our Jason and our Wayne went out and told him that we didn't want to join.
Small man, black cloak.
Yes.
Yes.
He was hanging around in my raspberry bushes. Only when I went out to see what he wanted, he ran away.
Pause. Magrat looks a bit embarrassed.
Actually, I gave him tuppence.
The other two tut and sigh.
He was going to be tortured, you see, if he didn't get the witches to pay their taxes.
Granny and Nanny exchange glances as the lights black out. Scene 6, the castle. The Duke and the Fool are on stage. The Duke is now using sandpaper on his hands, which are beginning to show signs of disabuse, looking a bit raw.
Tell me, fool, does it always rain here?
Marry, nuncle.
Duke with iron of patience.
Just answer the question.
Sometimes it stops, sir, to make room for the snow, and sometimes we get some right squandering, orgulous fogs.
Orgulous?
Thick, my lord, from the latation orgulum, a soup or broth.
I am bored, fool.
Let me entertain you, my lord, with many a merry quip and lightsome jest.
Try me.
A pause.
I'm waiting. Make me laugh.
Taking the plunge.
Why, sirrah, Why may a caudled fill horse be deemed the brother to a heron candle in the night?
The Duke frowns.
Withal, because a candle may be greased, yet a fill horse be without fat argia.
He pats the Duke lightly with the balloon. Duke, after a deadpan pause.
Yes, and then what happened?
That was by way of being the whole thing. My granddad thought it was one of his best.
I dare say he told it differently.
There is a sudden rumbling, as of an earthquake. The Duke and the Fool stagger somewhat, a bit like Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea.
What's happening? Is it an earthquake?
We don't have them in these parts, my lord.
It's the witches, isn't it? They're out to get me, aren't they?
Marry, nuncle.
They run this country, don't they?
No, my lord, they never.
Who asked you?
You did, my lord.
Are you arguing with me?
No, my lord.
I thought so. You're in league with them, I suppose.
My lord.
You're all in league, you people. I am the king. Do you all hear me? I am the king.
Starts to sniffle. The Fool crosses to him and holds out his hanky to him. It matches his costume and has little bells sewn on the corners. The Duke doesn't see it.
Is this a dagger I see before me?
No, my lord. It's my handkerchief, you see. You can sort of tell the difference if you look closely. It doesn't have as many sharp edges.
Good fool. Are you loyal, fool? Are you trustworthy?
I swore to follow my lord until death.
The Duke leans towards him, conspiratorially.
I didn't want to. They made me do it. I didn't.
The Duchess entering.
Leonard,
Yes, my dear.
what was that earthquake?
Witches, I suspect.
So, they still defy you?
How should I fight magic?
With words.
What?
The Fool, nervous.
In the guild, we learned that words can be more powerful even than magic.
Clown. Words are just words. Brief syllables. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me.
My lord, there are such words that can. Liar, usurper, murderer.
He adds quickly.
Such words have no truth, but they can spread like fire underground, breaking out to burn.
It's true. It's true. I hear them all the time.
Hissing.
It's the witches.
Then they can be fought with other words. Words can fight even witches.
The Duchess thoughtfully.
What words?
The Fool with a shrug.
Crone, evil eye, stupid old woman.
You are not entirely an idiot, are you? You refer to rumor.
Just so, my lady.
The Duke, to no one in particular.
It's the witches. We must tell the world about the witches. They're evil. They make it come back. The blood.
He rubs at his hands.
Even sandpaper doesn't work.
Duke and Duchess exit as he speaks. The Fool is left alone to soliloquize. The Fool speaking to his jester stick.
What have I got myself into? I never asked to be a fool, you know. It just happened. First thing I can remember is Grandad standing over me, making me repeat the jokes by rote, hammering home every punchline with his belt. He was credited with 7 official new jokes, you know. He won the honorary cap and bells of the Grand Prix des Idiots at Ankh-Morpork 3 years in a row. I remember when I was about 7, I tried to make up a joke. When I told Grandad, he gave me the biggest thrashing of my life. You will learn, lad, that there is nothing more serious than jesting.
Miming the thrashing.
Never, never, ever utter a joke that has not been approved by the guild. Never, never, never let me catch you joculating again.
He sighs and exits as lights out. Scene 7, Witch's House. Nanny is on stage. Granny and Magrat enter.
What ho, me old boilers? See you turned up then. Have a drink, have two. Watch your Magrat. Pull up a chair and call the cat a bastard. Actually, I don't think you can.
And what?
Call the cat a bastard. He's disappeared, old Grebo. Haven't seen him for a couple of days.
And you thought?
Here, what about that earthquake then?
Extremely worrying developments of a magical tendency are even now afoot.
Well, we'd better have a look then.
She takes the lid off her wash cuppa.
Think perhaps we should join hands. Is the door shut?
Magrat nods.
What are you going to try?
I always say you can't go wrong with a good invocation. I haven't done one of them for years.
Oh, but you can't. And not here. You need a cauldron and a magic sword and an octagram and spices, all sorts of stuff.
Nanny and Granny exchange glances.
It's not her fault. It's all them grimmers she bought.
Grimoires.
You don't need none of that. You just use whatever you've got.
She picks up a rolling pin, holds it aloft, and declaims.
We conjure and abjure thee by means of this weighty and terrible rolling pin.
Magrat picking up a packet of soap flakes.
See how we scatter.
She sighs.
Rather old washing soda and some extremely hard soap flakes in thy honor. Really, Nanny, I don't think.
And I invoke and bind thee with the balding scrubbing brush of art and the washboard of protection.
Honesty is all very well, but sometimes it just isn't the same.
You listen to me, girl. Demons don't care about the outward shape of things. It's what you think that matters. Get on with it.
They all look in deepest concentration at the copper. Smoke rises from it, and a head appears.
Well,
Who are you?
my name is unpronounceable in your tongue, woman.
I'll be the judge of that. And don't you call me woman.
Very well. My name is Worksel Ilt Julep.
Where were you when the vowels were handed out? Behind the door?
Well, Mr. Wurzel Gilbert,
It's a good effort and pretty close to the demon's pronunciation.
I expect you're wondering why we called you here tonight.
You're not supposed to say that. You're supposed to say,
Oh, shut up. We have the sword of art and the octagon of protection. I warn you.
they look like a balding scrubbing brush and a washboard to me. You're allowed 3 questions.
Granny to the others.
We must be careful. Demons always tell the truth, but only as much as they need to. We must phrase our questions very carefully.
To the demon.
Is there something strange at large in the kingdom?
You mean stranger than usual? No, there is nothing strange.
Hold on, hold on.
She tries again.
Is there something in the kingdom that wasn't there before?
No.
Granny, a last try.
What the hell's going on? And no mucking about trying to wriggle out of it. Otherwise, I'll boil you.
The demon hesitates at this new approach.
Margaret, just bring over the kindling, will you?
I protest at this treatment.
Yes, well, I haven't got time to bandy legs with you all night. These word games might be all very well for wizards, but we've other fish to fry.
Or boil.
The demon, a little worried now.
Look, we're not supposed to volunteer information just like that. There are rules, you know.
There's some old oil in that case in the shed, Magrat.
If I simply tell you,
Granny encouragingly.
Yes,
you won't let on, will you?
not a word.
There is nothing new in the kingdom, but the land has woken up.
What do you mean?
It's unhappy. It wants a king that cares for it.
You don't mean the people, do you?
Demon shakes its head.
No, I didn't think so.
What?
Granny holds up a hand.
Can you tell us why?
I'm just a demon. What do I know? Only what it is, not the why and how of it.
I see.
May I go now?
Hmm.
Please?
Oh, yes, run along, thank you.
The demon, after a pause.
You wouldn't mind banishing me, would you?
Granny, still distracted.
What?
Only I'd feel better if I was properly banished. Run along, lacks that certain something.
Oh, well, if it gives you pleasure. Margaret, do the honours, will you?
Certainly. Right. Okay. Begone, foul fiend, unto the blackest pit.
The head starts to sink back into the copper as it goes.
Run along.
Well, I wonder if that's why Greebell's vanished.
Cats can look after themselves. Countries can't. Duke Felmet hates the kingdom. The villagers say when they go to see him, he just stares at them and giggles and rubs his hand and twitches.
The old king used to shout at them and kick them out of the castle. But he was always very gracious about it. You felt he meant it. People like to feel they're valued.
The kingdom is worried. You heard what the demon said. This morning when I opened my door, there were all the animals of the forest just stood outside.
What did they say?
Nothing. Animals, aren't they? Knew what they wanted, though. Rid of the king. They were sent by the kingdom, the land itself. It doesn't care if people are good or bad, but it expects the king to care for it.
It's a bit like a dog, really. A dog doesn't care if his master's good or bad, just so long as he likes the dog.
Well, what are we going to do about it?
Oh, nothing. You know, we can't meddle.
You saved the baby.
That's not meddling.
Have it your way. But maybe one day he'll come back. Destiny again.
Right.
Pause.
You know the fool who lives up at the castle?
Little man with runny eyes.
Not that little. Do you happen to know?
He's just called fool. No job for a man, that. Running around with bells on.
His mother was a beldame from over Blackglass way. Bit of a beauty when she were younger. Oh, broke many a heart she did. Bit of a scandal there, I did hear. I think he was named after his master, the king. Verant. Granny's right, though. At the end of the day, a fool's a fool.
Why do you want to know, Margaret?
Margaret, blushing.
Oh, one of the girls in the village was asking me.
Nanny clears her throat and nudges Granny.
It's a steady job, I'll grant you that.
A man who tinkles all day. No kind of husband for anyone, I'd say.
She'd always know where he was, though. You just have to listen.
Never trust a man with horns on his hat.
Margaret, suddenly.
You're a pair of silly old women, and I'm going home.
She stalks out.
Well.
Lights out. Scene 8. The castle dungeon. Noise of echoey dripping water. Nanny, the Duke and Duchess are on stage. Also on the stage is King Verence in a green follow spot, sitting in the corner and watching the action. Nanny is in the stocks. The Duke's hands are now a bit bloody and he is working away at them using a rather rusty-looking rasp.
Quite comfortable, are we?
Apart from these stocks, you mean?
I'm impervious to your foul blandishments. I scorn your devious wiles. You are to be tortured, I'll have you know.
Duchess, since that seems to have had no effect.
And then you will be burned.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, it's bloody freezing down here. It was that big wardrobe thing with the spikes.
Aha! Now you realise, do you? That, my dear lady, is the Iron Maiden. It's the latest thing. Well, may you...
Can I have a go in it?
Your pleas fall on deaf. What?
This insouciance gives you pleasure, but soon you'll laugh on the other side of your face.
It's only got this side.
The Duchess fingering a pair of pliers.
We shall see.
And you need not think any others of your people will come to your aid. We alone hold the keys of this dungeon. You will be an example to all those who have been spreading malicious rumors about me. I hear the voices all the time, lying.
Enough. Come, Lionel. We will let her reflect on her fate for a while.
The Duke muttering as he exits.
The faces, wicked lies. I wasn't there. I didn't tell me. Anyway, he fell.
A moment's silence.
All right, I can see you. Who are you?
King Verence steps forward.
I saw you making faces behind him. All I could do to keep a straight face.
I wasn't making faces, woman. I was scowling.
I know you. You're dead. You're the late King Verence.
I prefer the term passed over. I'm afraid it was I who borrowed your cat. I knew you'd come looking for it.
What's that big bed thing over there?
The rack.
Oh. I suppose you're no good with locks.
Verence shaking his head.
But surely to a witch all of this is all so much...
It's solid iron. You might be able to walk through walls, but I can't.
I didn't realize. I thought witches could do magic.
Young man, you will oblige me by shutting up.
Madam, I am a king.
You are also dead, so I wouldn't go spy to hold any opinions if I were you.
Pause. Lights go down and up to indicate the passage of time. During the brief blackout, a clock chimes.
I spy with my little eye something beginning with P.
Pliers.
Nope.
Pillywinks.
Oh, that's a pretty name. What's that?
It's a kind of thumbscrew.
Ooh, no.
Choke pear.
That's a C. And anyway, I don't know what it is. You're a bit too good at these names. You sure you didn't use any of these when you were alive?
Absolutely, Nanny.
Boys that tell lies go to a bad place.
Lady Felden Met had most of them installed herself. It's the truth.
All right. It were pincers.
But that's just another name for pliers.
Oh.
Pause.
They'll be back soon. Are you sure you'll be all right?
If I'm not, how much help will you be?
A sound of bolts sliding back. The Duke, Duchess, and Fool enter.
Hiya.
We will begin with the showing of the implements.
Oh, I've seen them. Leastways, all the ones beginning with P, S, I, T, and W.
Then let us see how long you can keep that light conversational tone.
Oh, is this going to take long? I haven't had my breakfast.
Now, woman, will you confess?
What to?
It's common knowledge. Treason, malicious witchcraft, harboring the king's enemies, theft of the crown, and spreading false rumors.
What false rumours?
The Duke hoarsely.
Concerning the accidental death of the late King Verence.
Oh, no, I don't know nothing false.
Verence whispers to her, telling her what happened.
I know that you stabbed him and you gave him the dagger. It were at top of stairs, just by that suit of armour with the pike. And you said, if it's to be done, it best be done quickly, or something like that. And then you snatched the king's own dagger!
You lie. There were no witnesses. There was nothing to witness. I heard someone in the dark, but there was no one there.
You shut up, Lionel.
Who told her? Did you tell her?
And calm down. No one told her. She's a witch, for goodness sake. They find out about these things. Second glance or something.
Sight.
Which you will not possess much longer, my good woman, unless you tell us who else knows, and indeed assist us on a number of other matters.
Pause.
And now we will commence. Your friends can't help you now.
Lights out. Scene 9, Castle Gatehouse. Guards and crowd on stage. Granny
There's a
enters
witch
carrying a
in the
basket of apples. Sorry. Carry on.
There's a witch in the dungeon and foul tortures, they say.
Nonsense. I expect Nanny Ogre's just gone in to advise the king or something.
They say Jason Ogg's gone to fetch his brothers.
I really advise you all to return home. There's probably been a misunderstanding. Everyone knows a witch cannot be held against her will.
It's gone too far this time. All this burning and taxing and now this. I blame you witches. It's stop and rats.
And what rights are they?
Donnig, cowering ordinary, badinage, leftovers, scrummage, clarion spunt, and acconage every other year, and the rights to keep 2/3 of a goat on the common until he's set on fire. It was a bloody good goat too.
A man could go far knowing his rights like you do.
A hint of threat.
But right now, he should go home.
The peasants exit. Granny turns and looks at the guards.
I am a harmless old seller of apples. Pray let me pass, dearie.
No one must enter the castle. Orders of the Duke.
I know you, Chumpet Poldy. I recall I laid out your granddad, and I brought you into the world. I gave you your first good hiding in this vale of tears, and by all the gods, if you cross me now, I will give you your last.
He drops his spear. Granny pats his shoulder.
But don't worry about it, have an apple.
So that's witch's magic, is it? Pretty poor stuff. Maybe it frightens these country idiots, woman, but it doesn't frighten me.
Imagine it takes a lot to frighten a big, strong lad like you.
And don't you try to put the wind up me neither. Old ladies like you, twisting people around. It shouldn't be stood for, like they say.
Pushing his spear aside.
Just as you like.
Grabbing her.
Listen, I said...
Suddenly he is clutching at his arm and moaning. Granny puts her hat pin back in her hat and exits, triumphant. Almost before the guards have rearranged themselves, Magrat enters, also carrying a basket of apples.
Oh my God.
I've come to sell my lovely apples.
There's not a sale on, is there?
It dawns on him.
You're not a witch, are you?
Of course not. Do I look like one?
Right.
The guard too, and certainly.
Right.
He looks at her, pointed hat, blue cloak, etc.
Pass, apple seller.
Thanks. Would you like an apple?
No thanks. I haven't finished the one the other witch gave me. Not a witch, a Purcell.
How long ago was this?
Just a few minutes.
Magrat exits quickly.
An upper cellar, yes. Well, she should know.
Lights out. Scene 10, outside the dungeon. A corridor in the castle, 2 guards on stage. Magrat enters. Well, come to keep us company, have you, my pretty?
I was looking for the dungeon.
Just fancy, I reckon we can help you there. He puts an arm round her waist.
I think I should warn you. I'm not, as I might appear, a simple apple seller.
No reaction.
I am, in fact, a witch.
Fair enough. I've always wondered what it was like to kiss a witch. Around here, they do say you gets turned into a frog. Nudging him.
I reckon then you kissed one years ago.
He laughs. Guard shoved Magrat up against the wall. Now listen to me, sweetheart. You ain't the first witch we've had down here, but you could be lucky and walk out of here if you're nice to us, that is. He mauls her a bit. Here, what's this? A knife? I reckon we've got to take this very seriously, don't you, Ron?
Got to tie her hands and gag her. They can't do magic if they can't speak or wave their hands about.
The fool who's entered suddenly.
You can take your hands off her. Let her go this minute or I'll report you.
This is a witch we have here, so you can go and tinkle somewhere else. He turns back to Magrat. I like a girl with spirit.
I told you to let her go.
Guard 4 draws his sword. Suddenly, Magrat lashes out at Guard 3 with all her might. He spins around with the force of the blow and crashes to the floor. Guard 4 turns in amazement to see his colleague laid out. The fool charges at him, knocking him over. He grabs the fool around the throat, but Magrat comes up behind him and holds a knife to his throat. Magrat lets go of him.
Let go
sorry.
of him.
A pause.
You're wondering whether I really would cut your throat. I don't know either. Think of the fun we could have together finding out.
Both guards get to their feet.
Right. And now? Run away.
They exit to fool.
Right. Now where is she?
Fool crossing to the door.
It's locked.
Well, it's a dungeon, isn't it?
They're not supposed to lock it from the inside.
Magrat examines the door.
Are you really a witch? You don't look like one. You look very... That is... not like a, crone at all, but absolutely beautiful.
Magrat a little flustered by this.
I think you'd better stand back, Barons. Not sure how this is going to work.
How did you know my name?
Magrat examining the door.
Oh, I expect I heard it somewhere.
I shouldn't think so. I never use it. I mean, it's not a popular name with the Duke. It was me mum, you see. They'd like to name you after kings, I suppose.
Magrat holds up her hand. There is a small flash.
Is that it?
Wait, it's not over yet.
Granny enters.
Good technique, but it's old wood. Lots of iron nails and stuff in it. Can't see it working.
There is an almighty flash and an explosion.
Boom!
Ooh. Lights out. Scene 11, the castle dungeon. We repeated the flash to give the effect that they're now seeing the events in the corridor from inside the cell. Nanny, Duke and Duchess with Verence are inside. Granny, Magrat and the Fool enter. Magrat and the Fool stay to one side of the stage.
Took your time. Oh, let me out of these, will you? I'm getting cramp.
My own dagger. All this time and I never knew it. They bloody well did me in with my own bloody knife.
Isn't that the old king? Can they see him?
Shouldn't think so.
Guards! Fool, fetch the guards.
They're busy. We were just leaving. Are you the Duke?
The Duke nods.
I'm going to give you no cause, but it would be better for you if you left this country, abdicate or whatever.
In favor of whom? A witch?
I won't.
What did you say?
I said I won't. Do you think a bit of simple conjuring would frighten me? I am king by right of conquest, and you cannot change it. It is as simple as that, witch.
Yes.
A pause as he lets this sink in.
Rum and ginger ale?
If you defeat me by magic, magic will rule. You cannot do it. Any king raised with your help would be under your power. Hag-ridden, I might say. That which magic rules, it destroys. It would destroy you, too. You know it.
Granny's knuckles whiten.
You could strike me down, and perhaps you would replace me. But he would have to be a fool indeed, because he would know he was under your evil eye. And if he displeased you, why, his life would be instantly forfeit. You could protest all you wished, but he'd know he ruled with your permission. And that would make him no king at all. Is that not true?
A pause.
I said, is that not true?
Yes, it is true. But there is one who could defeat you.
The Duke sneering.
The child. Let him come when he is grown. A young man with a sword to seek his destiny. Very romantic, but I have many years to prepare. Let him try.
Nose to nose with Granny, he hisses.
Get back to your cauldrons, Wyrd Sisters.
The Duke turns on his heel and swoops out. Rather taken aback, the Duchess follows. Off stage, we hear the Duke laughing.
Oh, you could give him boils or something. Hemorrhoids are good. That's allowed. It won't stop him ruling, it just means he'll have to rule standing up. Always good for a laugh, that.
Pause.
Mind you, that'll probably make him worse, same with toothache.
I ain't going to give him the pleasure of saying it, but he's got a beaten.
Well, I don't know. Our Jason and a few lads could soon.
Oh, you saw some of his guards. These aren't the old sorts. These are the tough kind.
We could give him a bit of help.
It wouldn't work. People have to sort this sort of thing out for themselves. Magic's there to be ruled, not to do the ruling.
The fool, who has been plucking up his courage.
Can I see you again?
Oh, no. I'm very busy tonight.
Tomorrow night, then?
I should think I'd be washing my hair.
I could get Friday night free.
We do a lot of work at night, you see.
The afternoon, then?
Well...
About 2 o'clock in the meadow by the pond, all right?
Well...
See you there, then, all right?
The Duchess off.
Fool!
I've got to go. The meadow, okay? I'll wear a flower so you recognise me, all right?
All right.
Fool exits.
Esme, there's someone here to see you.
Verence, King of Lancre. Do I have the honour of addressing Granny Weatherwax, Doyenne of Witches?
Granny nods modestly.
I beg you, Granny Weatherwax, to restore my son to the throne.
It's meddling, you see.
You're not going to help?
Well, naturally one day, when your lad's a bit older.
Verence coldly.
Where is he now?
We saw him safe out of the country, you see.
Very good family.
What kind of people? Not commoners, I trust.
Absolutely not common at all. Very uncommon.
They were thespians.
Oh. Good.
Were they? They didn't look it.
Don't show your ignorance, get the og. Sorry about that, Your Majesty. It's just her showing off. She doesn't even know where Thespian is.
Wherever it is, I hope they know how to school a man in the arts of war. I know Felmet. In 10 years, he'll be dug in like a toad in a stone. What kind of kingdom will he come back to? Will you watch it change over the years? Become shoddy and mean?
He starts to drift out.
Remember, good sisters, the land and the king are one.
And he is gone.
One what?
We've got to do something, rules or no rules. Lock up a witch, would he? I'll bloody well show him what a witch can do.
Yes, only perhaps not right now. Let's plan.
Weird sisters indeed. We'll meet on the eve tonight and decide what must be done.
She strides out.
Whatever happened to the rule about not meddling in politics?
The thing is, you see, as you progress in the craft, you'll learn there is another rule. Esme's obeyed it all her life.
And what's that?
When you break rules, break 'em good and hard.
Lights out. Scene 12. The castle. Duke, Duchess and Fool are on stage. The Duke is now working away at his very bloody hands with a rusty cheese grater.
It works. The people mutter against the witches. How do you do it, fool?
Jokes, Nuncle, and gossip. People are halfway ready to believe it anyway. Everyone respects the witches. The point is that no one actually likes them very much.
This is very pleasing. If it goes on like this, fool, you shall have a knighthood.
Marry, Nuncle. If and I had a knighthood, why, it would keep my ears warm in bed. If many a king is a fool, why then...
Yes, all right.
It seems that words are extremely powerful.
Indeed, lady.
You must have made a lengthy study.
The Fool nodding.
Words can change the world.
So you've said before. I remain unconvinced. Strong men change the world. Strong men and their deeds. Words are like marzipan on the cake. Of course, you think words are important. You are weak and have nothing else.
Your ladyship is wrong.
The Duchess icily.
You had better be able to substantiate that comment.
Lady, the Duke wishes to chop down the forests. Is this not so?
Trees talk about me. I hear them whisper when I go riding. They tell lies about me.
The Fool and the Duchess exchange glances.
But this policy has met with fanatical opposition.
What?
People don't like it.
What does that matter? We rule. They will do what we say, or they will be pitilessly executed.
But, my love, we will run out of people.
No need. You don't have to do that. What you do is you embark upon a far-reaching and ambitious plan to expand the agricultural industry, provide long-term employment in the sawmills, open new land for development, and reduce the scope for banditry.
The Duke, baffled.
How will we do all that?
Chop down the forests.
But you said...
Shut up, Charlotte.
She turns to the Fool.
Exactly how does one go about knocking over the houses of people one does not like?
Urban clearance.
I was thinking of burning them down.
Hygienic urban clearance.
And sowing the ground with salt.
Mary, I suspect that it is hygienic urban clearance and a programme of environmental improvements. It might be a good idea to plant a few trees as well.
No more trees!
Oh, it's all right. They won't survive. The important thing is to have planted them.
But I also want to raise taxes.
Why, nuncle?
And I am not your nuncle.
Nant?
No.
Why, prithee, you need to finance your ambitious programme for the country.
The Duke getting lost.
Sorry?
He means that chopping down trees costs money.
To the Fool.
Intriguing. But can your words change the past?
More easily, I think, because the past is what people remember and memories are words. Who knows how a king behaved 1,000 years ago? There is only recollection and stories and plays, of course.
Ah, yes. I saw a play once. Bunch of funny fellows in tights. A lot of shouting. The people liked it, but you say history is what people are told?
What about
Cool.
him? Sorry.
Oh, sorry, my fault.
What about him? Champot the Good. Was he? Who knows now? What was he good at? But he will be Champot the Good until the end of the world.
I want to be a good ruler. I want people to like me.
The Duchess ignoring him.
Let us assume that there were other matters subject to controversy, matters of historical record that had been clouded.
I didn't do it, you know. He slipped and fell. That was it. He attacked me. It was self-defense. That's it. He slipped and fell on his own dagger in self-defense. I have no recollection of this at this time.
Be quiet, husband. I know you didn't do it. I wasn't there with you, you may recall. It was I who didn't hand you the dagger.
Turns to the fool.
And now, fool, I was saying I believe that perhaps there are matters that should be properly recorded.
Marry, that you were not there at the time.
Not where?
The fool hastily.
Anywhere.
So long as you remember it. Reality is only weak words, you say. Therefore, words are reality. But how can words become
It
history?
was a very good play I saw. There were fights and no one really died. Some very good speeches, I thought.
Fool,
Lady.
can you write a play? A play that will go around the world. A play that will be remembered long after rumor has died.
No, lady. It is a special talent.
But can you find someone who has it?
There are such people, my lady. In Ankh-Morpork, mayhap.
Find one. Find the best. The truth will out.
Lights
Find
out.
one.
Sorry, lights out. Scene 13, the blasted heath. Magrat, Granny and Nanny are on stage.
We ain't going to curse anyone. It hardly ever works if they don't know you've done it.
What you do is you send him a doll of himself with pins in it.
No, Githa.
All you have to do is get hold of some of his toenails
No.
or some of his hair or anything. I've got some pins.
No.
Cursing people is morally unsound and extremely bad for your karma.
Well, I'm going to curse him anyway. Under my breath, like. I could have caught me death in that dungeon for all he cared.
We ain't going to curse him. We're going to replace him. What did you do with the old king?
Not put the old king back on the throne. Ghosts can't rule. You never get the crown to stay on and it drop through.
We're going to replace him with Ference's son. Proper succession.
Oh, we've been through all that in about 15 years' time, perhaps, but
Tonight.
a child on the throne? It wouldn't last 5 minutes.
Quietly.
Not a child. A grown man. Remember Alice Demarage?
A pause.
Bloody hell, you ain't going to try that, are you?
I mean to have a go.
Oh, see here, Esme. I mean, Black Alice was one of the best. I mean, you're very good at headology and thinking and that, but...
You're saying I could do it, aren't you?
Excuse me? Who was Black Alice? And none of this exchanging meaningful glances and talking over my head. There's 3 of us in this coven, remember?
She was before your time. Before mine, really. Lived over Scund way. Very powerful witch. She turned a pumpkin into a coach once.
Shall we? That's no help to anyone. Turning at a ball smelling like a pie. And that business with the glass slipper, dangerous to my mind.
Nanny, ignoring this interruption.
But the biggest thing she ever did was send a whole palace to sleep for 100 years until... Oh, can't remember. Were there rose bushes involved, or was it spinning wheels in that one? I think some princess had to finger it. No, there was a prince, that was it.
Magrat, uneasily.
Finger a prince?
No, he had to kiss her. Oh, very romantic Black Alice was. She liked nothing better than girl meets frog.
Why did they call her Black Alice?
Fingernails.
And teeth. She had a very sweet tooth, lived in a real gingerbread cottage. Couple of kids shoved her in her own oven at the end. Shocking.
And you're going to send the castle to sleep?
She never sent the castle to sleep. That's just an old wives' tale.
She glares at Nanny.
She just stirred up time a little. It's not as old as people think. Everyone does it all the time. It's like rubber is time. You can stretch it to suit yourself.
But the time is time. Every second lasts a second. That's what they're there for.
How many times have weeks flown past when afternoons seem to last forever? How many times have minutes seemed to last for hours when some hours have gone so quickly?
But that's just people's perception, isn't it?
Oh yes, of course it is. It all is. But what difference does that make? I reckon 15 years would be a nice round number. That means the lad will be 18 at the finish. We just do the spell, go and fetch him. He can manifest his destiny and everything will be nice and neat.
Could work out quite nice. Bit of peace and quiet for 15 years. If I recall, the spell, after you say it, you have to fly round castle before cockcrow.
I wasn't thinking about that. It wouldn't be right. Thelbert would still be king all the time. The kingdom would still get sick. No, I was thinking of moving the whole kingdom.
She beams at them.
The whole of Lanka?
Yes.
15 years into future?
Yes.
Nanny looking at Granny's broomstick.
You'll never do it. Not run the whole kingdom on your own in that thing.
I thought of that. I'm going to need some help.
She looks pointedly at Nanny.
Oh, bleeding bloody hell!
Lights out. Scene 14. The wood. Crow's caw in the background. Magrat and Fool, wearing a flower pinned to his motley, enter strolling together to centre.
You've been a fool long?
All my life. I cut my teeth on a set of bells.
I suppose it gets handed on, father to son?
I never saw much of my father. He went off to be a fool for the Lords of Quirm when I was small.
That's terrible. It must be a happy life. Making people laugh, I mean.
No, it's a terribly serious business. The College of Fools in Ankh-Morpork is one of the dullest, strictest, most Spartan colleges on the whole of Discworld.
Didn't you want to be anything else?
What else is there? I haven't seen anything else I could be. How did you get to be a witch? I mean, did you go to a school or something?
Oh no. Goody Wemper just walked down to the village one day, got all his girls lined up, and chose me. You don't choose the craft, you see. It chooses you.
Yes, but when do you actually become a witch?
When the other witches treat you as one, I suppose. If they ever do. I thought they would after that spell in the corridor. It was pretty good after all.
Mary, it was a rite of passage. Sorry, the other witches being those two old ladies.
Yes.
Very strong characters, I imagine.
Very. Oh, they're quite nice, really. It's just that, well, when you're a witch, you don't think about other people. I mean, you think about them, but you don't actually think about their feelings, if you see what I mean.
You're not like that.
Look, I wish you'd stop working for the Duke. You know what he's like, torturing people and setting fire to their cottages.
But I'm his fool, right until he dies. I'm afraid it's tradition. Tradition is very important.
You don't even like being the fool.
I hate it, but if I've got to be one, I may as well do it properly.
That's really stupid.
Foolish, I prefer.
Pause.
If I kiss you, do I turn into a frog?
As they kiss, they freeze. Lights up on another part of the stage, preferably higher than the Fool and Magrat, where Nanny and Granny are saying the spell.
At the infinite might of the all-powerful great Atwin, the star turtle who supports our Discworld, and by the 4 great elephants who stand upon his meteor-popped back and hold the world on their mighty shoulders, I conjure the gods of fate, destiny, and time. The kingdom of Lanka shall remain frozen while the whole of Discworld moves on 15 years full and final. Then shall Nemesis come to Felmet, self-styled King of Lanka. Right, we're off!
They grab their broomsticks and start to exit.
Does yours still need to be bump started?
I'm afraid so.
And they're gone. Interval. Act 2. The scene continues after the interval. The lights come up on the frozen pair, who now break from their kiss.
Did you feel the whole world move?
Magrat to herself.
They've done it. We kissed for 15 years.
What?
She's done it.
Done what?
Oh, nothing. Nothing much, really.
Shall we try that again? It will be something to remember on my long journey to Ankh-Morpork.
What? That's 500 miles away. You'll be away for ages.
I can't help it. The Duke's given me special instructions to get a play right.
But you don't have to go. You don't want to go.
That doesn't have very much to do with it. I promised to be loyal to him.
Well, yes, until you're dead. But you don't believe that.
Well, yes, but I still have to do it. I gave my word.
Just when we were getting to know each other. You're pathetic.
I'd only be pathetic if I broke my word, but I may be incredibly ill-advised. I'm sorry. I'll be back in a few weeks anyway.
Don't you understand? I'm asking you not to listen to him.
I said I'm sorry. I couldn't see you again before I go, could I?
Magrat stiffly.
I shall be washing my hair.
When?
Whenever.
Lights out. Scene 15. A street in Ankh-Morpork. On stage are 3 robbers. Around the Fool, who is on the ground. Tom John and Hugh enter.
What's this?
It's a clown! They are mugging a clown!
As they reach the others, the leader holds up a business card.
Thief license.
That's right. Only don't expect us to do you too, because we're on our way out.
That's right. We've done our receipt quota.
But you were kicking him!
Well, not a lot. Not what you call actual kicking.
Robber 3?
Well, it all seems... Well, it all seems to be in order.
In order? To rob someone?
We'll give him a chitty, of course, so it won't get done again today.
How much did you get?
Oh, bloody hell. He shows
Now
it to
we're
the other
for
otter.
it.
Well, how was I to know? I mean, look at him. How much would you expect him to be carrying? A couple of coppers, right? I mean, we'd never have done him, only it was on our way home. You try to do someone a favour, and this is what happens.
How much has he got then?
There must be $100 silver in there. I mean, that's not in our league. You've got to be in the Guild of Solicitors or something to steal that much. It's way over our quota.
Give it back then.
But we've given him a receipt.
We've all got numbers on. The Guild of Thieves check up on them.
How would it be then if you were to rob him of, say, 5 copper pieces instead?
Here, what's going on?
That represents 2 copper pieces at the going rate, plus expenses of 3 copper pieces for time and call-out fees.
Wear and tear on Kosh.
Exactly.
Very fair. Very fair. Takes the coins out of purse, gives the rest back to Tom John. Come on then, lads. They all exit.
That was amazing. How can I thank you, sir?
You are a fool, aren't you?
Yes, it's the bells, isn't it? Well, I'm really grateful. Is there a tavern around here? I'd like to buy you boys a drink.
Well, that would
We'd
be...
love to, but we need to get back to the theatre.
You two are in the theatre?
And that's right. This here is Tom John, son of the great Victualler. I am Joel, the playwright.
Then I've come 500 miles to find you.
He links arms with them and they start to exit. Lights out. Scene 16, the theatre. Victualler, Tom John and Huel are on stage.
Can you do it?
It sounds interesting, the way he told it. Wicked king ruling with the help of evil witches, storms, ghastly forests, true heir to the throne in life and death struggle, flash of dagger, screams, alarums, evil king dies, good triumph, bells ring out.
Showers of rose petals could be arranged. Now, I know a man who can get them practically at cost.
He and Tom John look at Huel. All three turn and look at the fool's bag of gold on the table.
You'll do it then, will you?
Yeah, it's got a certain something, but I don't know.
I'm not trying to pressure you. You know.
They all turn again and look at the gold.
It seems a bit fishy. I mean, the fool is decent enough, but the way he tells it, it's very odd. His mouth says the words and his eyes say something else. And I got the impression he'd much rather we believed his eyes.
On the other hand, what harm can it do? The pay is the thing. Play. The play's the thing.
But we can already afford to build the disc theatre.
Just the shell of the stage, but not all the other things. Not the trapdoor mechanism or the machine for lowering gods out of the heaven, or the big turntable, or the wind fans.
We used to manage without all of that stuff. Oh, remember the old days? All we had was a few planks and a bit of painted sacking, but we had a lot of spirit. Mind you, we could afford a wave machine, a small one. I got this idea about this ship wrecked on this island.
Victualler, shaking his head.
Sorry.
But we've got some huge audiences.
Yes, but they pay in halfpennies. I already owe Christopher the troll more than I should.
But he's the one who has people's limbs torn off.
How much do you owe him?
It's all right. I'm keeping up the interest payments, more or less.
Yes. But how much does he want?
An arm and a leg.
And?
What?
I did it for you two. Tom John deserves a better stage. He doesn't want to go ruining his health, sleeping in lattice and never knowing a home. And you, my man, you need somewhere settled with all the proper things you ought to have, like trapdoors and wave machines and so forth. You talked me into building the disc theatre, and I thought, they're right. It's no life on the road giving 2 performances a day to a bunch of farmers and going round with a hat afterwards. What sort of future is that? We need our own place with comfortable seats for the gentry people who don't throw potatoes on the stage. I said, blow the cost. I just wanted you to...
All right. I'll write it.
I'll act it.
I'm not forcing you, mind. It's your own choice. You know.
Mind you, there were some nice touches. The Three Witches was good. Lots of smoke and green light. You could do a lot with Three Witches. Surprising no one's thought of it before, really.
So we can tell this fool that we'll do it, can we?
And of course, you couldn't go wrong with a good storm. And there was that ghost routine we cut out of please yourself, because we couldn't afford a Muslim. Perhaps I could put death in too.
How far away did he say he came from?
The Ramtops, some little kingdom no one has ever heard of. It to take months to get there.
I'd like to go anyway. That's where I was born.
Vittula looks at the ceiling. Huel looks at the floor.
That's what you said when you were on tour of the mountains.
Yes, but I can't remember where, you see.
I could take some of the younger lads and we could make a summer of it.
Will's got to write the play yet.
But he has already started. They exchange glances, then quietly leave him to it. Lights out. Scene 17, the theatre. Exactly as for scene 16, but the following day. Vittula and Huel are on stage. Vittula has just finished reading Huel's play.
It's a good play, apart from the ghost.
Huel sullenly.
The ghosts stay.
But people always leer and throw things. Anyway, you know how hard it is to get all the chalk out of the clothes.
I like the ghosts.
You still bent on going?
Yes. Tom John's still a bit wild. He needs an older head around the place.
Oh, I'll miss you, laddie. I don't mind telling you. You've been like a son to me. How old are you exactly? I never did know.
58.
Oh, well, you've been like an older brother to me then. I don't know what I'll do without you and Tom John around, and that's a fact.
It's only for the summer. You said yourself it would be a good experience.
Oh, we grow old, Master. Well.
Aye. You don't want him to go, do you?
I was all for it at first, you know. Then I thought, there's destiny afoot. Just when things are going well, there's always bloody destiny. I mean, that's where he came from, somewhere in the mountains. Now fate is calling him back. I shan't see him again.
Oh, it's only for the summer.
Vittula holding up a hand.
Don't tempt fate. I got the right dramatic flow there.
Sorry.
I mean, you know he's not my flesh and blood.
He is your son, though. This heredity business isn't all it's cracked up to be.
But you said he looked like this fool person. I can't see it myself, Markio.
The light's got to be right.
Could be some destiny at work there too.
Lights out. Scene 18, Witch's House. Granny, Nanny and Magrat are on stage. Granny squinting into a crystal ball.
He's definitely on his way in a cart.
Fiery White Charger would have been favourite.
Has he got a magic sword?
You're a disgrace, the pair of you.
A magic sword is important. Make him one out of thunderbolt iron. I'll sell for that. You take some thunderbolt iron and then you make a sword out of it.
I can't be having with that old stuff.
And a strawberry birthmark.
Can't abide strawberries. It must have worked, otherwise he wouldn't be coming here. I dare say the armour and the swords are in the carts.
It's a long road. There's many a slip twixt tress and draws. There could be bandits.
We shall watch over him.
That's not right. If he's going to be king, he ought to be able to fight his own battles.
We don't want him wasting his strength. We want him good and fresh when he gets here.
And then I hope we shall leave him to fight his battles in his own way.
Quite right, provided he looks like winning.
She exits.
Whatever happened to not meddling?
It's not proper meddling, just helping things along.
But just last week you were saying...
A week is a long time in magic. 15 years for one thing. Anyway, Esme is determined and I'm in no mood to stop her.
Oh, what you're saying is that not meddling is like taking a vow not to swim. You'll absolutely never break it unless, of course, you happen to find yourself in the water.
It's better than drowning.
I think that I shall never really understand about witchcraft. Just when I think I've got a grip on it, it changes.
We're all just people.
And you thought?
Had a row with your young man.
I really don't know what you're talking about.
Haven't seen him about for weeks.
Oh, the Duke sent him away for something other. Not that it bothers me at all. Either way.
Nanny sarcastically.
Oh, quite.
Lights out. Scene 19, on the road. Tom John, Huel and players. Tom John examining a map.
I think we're lost.
We were lost 10 miles ago. There's got to be a new word for...
Where are we then?
The mountains. Perfectly clear on my atlas.
Oh, we ought to stop and ask someone.
A lonely curlew. A badger. Who did you have in mind?
Tom John pointing off.
That old woman in the funny hat. I've been watching her. She keeps ducking behind that bush when she thinks I've seen her.
Hello there! Good mother!
Granny off.
Who's mother?
Just a figure of speech. Mrs. Miss...
Granny entering.
Mistress.
Defiantly.
And I'm a poor old woman gathering wood. Looks, you did give me a fright, young master. My poor old heart.
I'm sorry?
What?
Your poor old heart what?
What about my poor old heart?
Oh, it's just that you mentioned it.
It isn't important. Look, I expect you're looking for Lanka.
Well, yes,
You've
all
gone too
day.
far. Go back about 2 miles and take the track on the right. Past the stand of pines.
Blair tugging at Tom John's sleeve.
When you meet a mysterious old lady in the road, you've got to offer to share your load or help her across the river.
You have?
It's terribly bad luck not to.
Tom John to Granny.
Would you care to share our lunch, good old ma'am?
What is it?
Salt pork?
Granny shaking her head.
Thanks all the same, but it gives me wind.
She turns on her heel and sets off up the road. Tom John calling after her.
We could help you across the river if you like.
What river? We're on the moors. There can't be a river for miles.
You've got to get them on your side.
But perhaps we should have asked her to wait a while. We went. Sorry. Perhaps we should have asked to wait while we went and looked for one. Oh, come
They
on.
start to exit. Lights out. Scene 20, the woods. The Fool on stage. Magrat enters in a foul temper.
What's all this about a play?
Fool's sagging.
Aren't you glad to see me?
Well, yes, of course. Now this play.
My lord wants something to convince people that he is the rightful king of Lanka. Himself mostly, I think.
Is that why you went to Alkmere Park?
Yes.
It's disgusting.
You'd prefer the Duchess's approach? She just thinks they ought to kill everyone. She's good at that sort of thing. And they'd be fighting and everything. Lots of people would die anyway. This way might be easier.
Where's your spunk, man?
Pardon?
Don't you want to die nobly for a just cause?
I'd much rather live quietly for one. It's all right for you witches. You can do what you like. But I'm circumscribed.
When's this play going to be then?
Mary, I'm sure I'm not allowed to tell you. The Duke said to me, he said, don't tell the witches that it's tomorrow night.
I shouldn't then.
At 8 o'clock.
I see.
But meet for sherry beforehand at 7:30, Your Faith.
I expect you shouldn't tell me who is invited either.
That's right. Most of the dignitaries of Lanka. You understand I'm not telling you all this.
Oh, that's right.
But I think you have a right to know what it is you're not being told.
Good point. Is there still that little gate around the back that leads to the kitchens?
The one that often gets left unguarded?
Yes.
Oh, we hardly ever guard it these days.
Do you think there might be someone guarding it around 8 o'clock tomorrow?
Well, I might be there.
Good.
The Duke will be expecting you.
He said we weren't to know.
He said I mustn't tell you, but he also said, they'll come anyway. I hope they do. Strange. He seemed in a very good mood when he said it. Can I see you after the show?
I think I might be washing my hair. Excuse me, but I think I ought to be going.
She starts to leave.
Yes, but I brought you this
But she is gone.
Oh, well, Mary, it is true. Witches sometimes do unpleasant things to people. Sometimes.
Lights out. Scene 21, the main hall of the castle. The play. The action alternates between the auditorium, played by us in an on-stage balcony, and backstage. Throughout, we hear indistinctly the action of the play continuing off-stage. Auditorium. The Fool and some guests are on stage. The three witches enter with Verence.
There's not going to be any trouble, is there? I don't want there to be any trouble, please.
Granny regally.
I'm sure I don't know what you mean.
Watch your jingle bells. Hope you haven't been keeping our girl here up late at night.
Nanny?
They seat themselves. Nanny to Granny offering a walnut.
Want one?
Granny shakes her head to Verence.
Walnut?
No, thank you. They go right through me, you know.
Actor off.
Come, gentles, all enlist to our tale.
He continues indistinctly during the dialogue.
What's this? Who's the fellow in tights?
It's the prologue. You have to have one of them in the beginning so everyone knows what the play's about.
Can't understand a word. What's a gentle anyway?
Type of maggot.
Oh, that's nice, isn't it? Hello, maggots. Welcome to the show. Puts people in a nice frame of mind, doesn't it?
These walnuts are damn tough. I'm going to take my boot off to this one.
Backstage, Yoel is looking off onto the stage at the show. He's carrying a small cauldron.
Come on! Come on!
Pointing.
What hath befell the land?
He turns.
And where are the witches? Where are the blasted witches?
3 unlikely-looking witches enter.
I've lost my ward.
The cauldron's all full of yuck.
Is something living in this wig?
Calm down, calm down. It'll be all right on the night.
This is the night, Yoel.
Yoel hears a pause on stage. He prompts.
Avenge the terror of thy father's death.
He turns to the witches and starts to psych them up in a manner of an American sports coach.
Right. Now, what are you? You are evil hags, right?
Yes, Yoel.
Tell me what you are.
We're evil hags, Yoel.
Louder.
We're evil hags, Yoel.
And what are you going to do?
We're going to curse the people.
I can't hear you.
We're going to
Curse the people.
What are you?
We're hags, Yoel.
What sort of hags?
We're black and midnight hags.
Are you scheming?
Yeah.
Are you secret?
Yeah.
What are you?
We're scheming, evil, secret, black, and midnight hags.
Right! Now, I want you to get out there and give them hell!
He absentmindedly puts the cauldron on his head in a manner of, say, John Wayne in any one of half a dozen World War II movies and looks out front. He adopts an American accent.
Not for me, not for the goddamn captain, but for Corporal Volovsky and his little dog.
He pushes the rim of the helmet up with his thumb. A pause. He snaps out of his reverie.
What are you waiting for? Get out there and curse them!
They exit. Tom John entering.
Well, there's no crown. I've got to wear a crown.
Of course there's a crown! The big one with the red glass. Very impressive. We used it in that place with the big square.
I think we left it there.
Oh. I have smothered many a babe. Well, we'll just have to find another one. In the props box. You there. You're the evil king, Verance. You've got to have a crown. Improvise.
Auditorium.
Yes, sir.
I never shipwrecked anybody. They just said we shipwrecked people. I never did.
Green blusher?
To fool.
I don't look like that, do I?
Absolutely not.
That's him, isn't it? That's my son. But what is he doing? What is he saying?
I think he's meant to be you.
But I never walked like that. Why's he got a hump on his back? What's happened to his leg?
Pause.
I certainly never did that. Or that. Why is he saying that I did? And it's my crown he's wearing. Look, this is it. And he's saying I did all those All right, maybe I did that. So I set fire to a few cottages. Everyone does that. It's good for the building industry anyway. Why is he saying all this about me?
It's art. Holds a, what's his name, mirror up to life. That's us. Round that silly little cauldron, it's meant to be us.
Bloody distorted one at that, but the audience are taken in. It's more real than reality. It's not true, but that has nothing to do with it. Words, as soft as water, and as powerful as water too, carrying away the past. We've lost. There's nothing we can do against this.
Did you hear that? One of them said they put babies in their cauldron. I'm not sitting here listening to this.
Don't do anything. It'll make things worse. Words. That's all that's left. Words.
Oh, now there's a man with a bloody trumpet come on. What's he gonna do?
Trumpet effect off.
Oh, it's end of that one.
Sound of applause.
My own flesh and blood. Why has he done this to me?
Come get them. We're going backstage.
The witches and Verence exit with the fool. The Duke enters. His hands are now covered in bloody bandages. He scratches away under the bandages with a very large knitting needle. If this doesn't get your audience squirming in their seats, well, you've had your chance and muffed it.
Guards, go and find the witches and arrest them.
Remember what happened last time, foolish man.
We left two of them loose. This time, all three. The tide of public feeling is on our side. That sort of thing affects witches, depend on it. You must admit, my precious, that the play seems to be having the desired effect.
It would appear so.
The Duke turning to the guards again.
Very well, don't just stand there. Before the play ends, those witches are to be under lock and key.
Backstage, Wimslow, who is dressed as Death.
However now, brave mortals, for I am deaf, against whom no.
You were against whom now?
Oh, good grief, Winslow. Against whom no lock will hold, nor fastened portal bar. I really don't see why you have so much difficulty with it.
He exits.
Right against whom no Tumty bar.
Tom John enters.
Do you think I'm fearsome enough?
No problem, my friend. Compared with a visit from you, even Death himself would hold no fears.
Right, thanks, Tom John.
He exits.
The play's just not working. It keeps trying to force itself into different words. It's not right. Once it's written, a play should stay writ. It shouldn't come alive and start twisting itself around. No wonder everybody needs prompting all the time.
He exits. The witch actors enter, escorted by guards.
But we're not witches. God.
Is that just guard one?
I think just read it in.
Why do you look like them then? Tie their hands.
Yes, but excuse me, we're not really witches.
Oh, we gag them as well.
If you just listen, we're with the theatre.
Yes, gag them. Very well then, my theatrical witches. You've done your show. And now it's time for your applause. Clap them in irons.
The guards drag them off. The real witches enter. Granny reading a script.
Diverse alarums and excursions.
That means a lot of terrible happenings. You always put that in place. You can't let this happen. If this gets out, witches will always be old hags in green blusher. We just aren't like that. Why don't we just change the words?
I suppose you're an expert at theatre words. They'd have to be proper sort of people to suspect.
Shouldn't be too difficult. I've been studying it. You just go tumpty 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 or something.
Sorry?
Ah, sorry. That was an added line. I don't know about new words, but we can make them forget these words.
I suppose it's worth a try.
Huel enters.
At last! Oh, what are you three playing at? We've been looking for you everywhere.
Us? But we're not.
Oh, yes, you are. We put it in last week, remember? You don't need to say anything. You just sit there and symbolise occult forces at work. Come on. You've all done so well so far.
He slaps Magrat on the bottom.
Good, good complexion you've got there. Well, oh, you've got a nasty bunch of hair. So as a body, you might hope to clap eyes on. Well done. Pity about the wigs. Curtain up in 1 minute. Break a leg.
He slaps Magrat on the bottom again and hurries off.
Useful.
Nanny, in Huel's direction.
Break your own bloody leg.
There is a cry of pain.
Come on, girls.
They exit. Lights out. Scene 22 on stage. The play, to one side of the stage at the front are 2 chairs on which are sat the real Duke and Duchess. On stage are Tom John as Bad King Verence, looking a lot like Richard III, Bedlin as Good Duke Felmet, and Gumbridge as Lady Felmet. All 3 stand amazed as Granny, Nanny and Magrat take their places.
Get on with it!
And now our domination is complete. Nanny tapping the cauldron.
It's just tin, this one.
The fire is just red paper.
Never mind, just look busy and wait till I say.
The very soil cries out at tyranny. Tom John prompting.
And calls me forth for vengeance?
But
How do they make it flicker?
Tom John prompting Bedlin again.
And calls me forth for vengeance?
Be quiet, you two. You're upsetting people. Go ahead, young man. Don't mind us.
Oh, what? Oh. Tom John desperately.
Aha! It calls you forth for vengeance, does it? And the heavens cry vengeance too, I expect.
The Duke cornering in his seat. Cowering?
There they are. That's them. What are they doing in my play?
Sorry. Aha, thou callest me an evil king, though thou'st whispers is so none save I may hear it, and thou hast summoned the guard, possibly by some secret signal, owing naught to artificial of lips or tongue.
A guard enters, crabwise, and hisses at Tom John.
Huel says, what the hell is going on?
What was that? Did I hear you say, I come, my lady?
Get these people off, he says.
Tom John ignoring him.
Thou blabbest, man. See how I dodge thy tortoise spear. I said, see how I dodge thy tortoise spear. Thy spear, man. You're holding it in thy bloody hands, for goodness sake.
There is a desperate silence. Granny walks to the front of the stage.
Ghost of the mind and all device away. I bid the truth to have its tumpty day.
She returns to her place on stage. Huel enters during the following dialogue. Gumbridge, the words are forming themselves in his mouth.
Do you fear him now? and he says so amazed with drink. Take his dagger. Take his dagger, husband. You are a blade's width from the kingdom.
I dare not.
Who will know? See, there is only the eyeless night. Take the dagger now. Take the kingdom tomorrow. Have a stab at it, man.
I have it, wife. Is this a dagger I see before me?
Of course it's a bloody dagger. Come on, do it now. The weak deserve no mercy. We'll say he fell downstairs.
I cannot. He has been kindness itself to me.
And you can be death itself to him.
No, I cannot do it. I will be seen. Down there in the hall, someone watches.
There is no one. Must I put it in for you? See, his foot is on the step.
The Duke rushing on the stage.
No, I did not do it. It was not like that. You were not there.
He looks around.
Nor was I. I was asleep at the time, you know. There was blood on the counterpane, blood on the floor. I couldn't wash it off. These are not proper matters for this inquiry. I cannot allow the discussion of national security. It was just a dream. When I awoke, he'd be alive tomorrow. And tomorrow you can say I did not know. I had no recollection. What a noise he made in falling. Enough to wake the dead. Who would have thought he had so much blood in him? I hope that sorts it all out.
These are just slanders and treason to boot, the rantings of mad players. Therefore, there is no proof, and where there is no proof, there is no crime.
The fool entering.
No, I saw it all. I was in the Great Hall that night. You killed the king, my lord.
I did not. You were not there. I did not see you there. I order you not to be there. You swore loyalty unto death.
Yes, my lord. I'm sorry.
You're dead.
He snatches a knife off Bedlin and stabs the fool. The fool collapsing to the floor.
Thank goodness that's over.
She crosses to him.
I didn't do it. You all saw that I didn't do it. Telling lies is naughty.
He stabs himself with a knife and hands it to Granny Weatherwax.
You can't get me now.
He starts to exit.
Will there be a comet? There must be a comet when a prince dies.
He wanders away. Granny walks over to the knife, picks it up and tests the blade. It retracts back into the handle.
There's your magic sword.
You said we're not.
She holds him to her bosom.
I must be. I'm in paradise.
No, look, I'm serious.
Fool checking himself.
I'm alive.
Of course, it's a trick dagger. Actors can't be trusted with real ones.
Clearly, my husband has lost his wits. I decree...
Be silent, woman. The true King of Lanka stands before you.
She points to Tom John.
Who? Me?
Oh, no. We're not having that. No mysterious return to heirs in this kingdom. You don't frighten me, Wyrd Sisters.
No, we don't, do we? We really don't.
Your witchcraft is all artifice and illusion to amaze weak minds. It holds no fears for me. Do your worst.
After a threatening pause.
My worst?
Yes, get on with it. I'm proud of what I've done, do you hear? I enjoyed it, and I did it because I wanted to.
To the others.
You gawping idiots. You're so weak. There's not one of you that doesn't fear me. I can make you whittle your drawers out of terror. And now I'm going to take...
Nanny hits her on the head with a rock or whatever your props people can come up with.
She does go on, doesn't she? Where's the Duke?
Guard entering.
Eventually.
Take her away and lock her up. And now, my lad, you are the King of Lanka.
But I don't know how to be king. I don't want to be king. Listen to me, all of you. I thank you for your offer. It's a great honour, but I cannot accept it. I've worn more crowns than you can count, and the only kingdom I know how to rule has got curtains in front of it. I'm sorry.
You all stepping forward.
The problem is that you don't actually have a choice. You are the king, you see. It's a job you are lined up for when you were born. The only chance you've got is if there was another heir. You don't remember any brothers or sisters, do you?
He looks pointedly at the fool.
Varys?
They all turn to look at the fool. Lights out. Scene 23, the blasted heath again. Granny, Nanny and Margaret are on stage.
It was a good banquet, I thought.
I got a coronation mug. It says, Viva Verence, I Rex. Fancy him being called Rex. I can't say it's very good likeness, mind you. I don't recall him having a handle sticking out of his ear.
What happened to the Duchess?
She escaped from the castle, didn't get far, had to go through the forest. The animals got her. That's destiny for you. Still, we've got a king, and there's an end of it.
It's thanks to you and Nanny, really.
Why?
Well, it's because you spoke up. Everyone knows witches don't lie. That's the important thing. I mean, everyone could see they looked alike. That could have been coincidence. You see, I looked up droit de seigneur. Goody Wemper had a dictionary.
Yes, well,
You did tell the truth, didn't you? They really are brothers, aren't they?
Oh, yes, definitely. I saw to his mother when the new king were born, and to the queen when young Tom John was born, and she told me who the father was.
Just a minute.
I remember the fool's father. Very personable young man. Didn't get on with his dad, you know, but he used to visit sometimes to see old friends.
he made friends easily.
Oh, among the ladies. Very athletic he was. Could climb walls like nobody's business. I remember hearing. Very popular with the Queen.
The king used to go out hunting such a lot.
He was that dwat of his, always out and about with it he was.
Just a minute.
Yes.
You told everyone they were brothers and that Varence was the older.
That's right.
And you let everyone believe that.
We're bound to be truthful, but there's no call to be honest.
No. What you're saying is that the king of Lancre isn't really...
What I'm saying is that we've got a king who's got his head screwed on right, and the old king's ghost has been laid to rest happy. There's been an enjoyable coronation, and some of us got mugs we weren't entitled to, them being only for kiddies, and all in all, things are a lot more satisfactory than they might be. Never mind what should, or what might be, or what ought to be. It's what things are that's important.
But he's not really a king.
But he might be. The late Queen wasn't very good at counting. Anyway, he doesn't know he isn't royalty.
Anyway, look at this way. Royalty has to start somewhere. It may as well start with him. How are you and he getting on now, by the way?
Margaret, coyly.
All right.
Pause.
I'm surprised at you two. I really am. You're witches. That means you have to care about things like truth and destiny, don't you?
See, that's where you begin it all wrong. Destiny is important, but people go wrong when they think it controls them. It's the other way round.
Bugger destiny.
After all, you never thought being a witch was going to be easy, did you?
I'm learning. I think I'd better be off. It's getting early.
Me too. I shall fret if I'm not home when she comes to get me breakfast.
When shall we three meet again?
Oh, I'm a bit busy this month, birthdays and such, you know.
Oh, that's nice. How about you, Margaret?
There always seems to be such a lot to do at this time of year, don't you find?
Granny pleasantly.
Quite. It's no good getting yourself tied down to appointments all the time, is it? Let's just leave the old question open, shall we?
They all nod and start to leave the stage in separate directions. Lights out. The end.
Please clap loudly.
Oh, well done, everyone.